There we go. What's up, y'all? I haven't made a video in a minute, but figured now would be a good time because I got some fun shit with the Corvette. Finally, actually upgrading it instead of just fixing it. I'm also just fixing it because it's also fucked up. But the main component, the exciting part, are these. I got these Progress Tech sway bars for like 400 bucks on a throttle. Black Friday deal. Pretty sweet. They are beefy as fuck. The factory and the new one. It's like a, I'd have to look on the website, but it's like an 8mm thicker bar in the front and like I think 6 in the back. So it's going to be a very, very much improved ride in the vet. Nothing crazy, but between shocks, sway bars, starting to get somewhere as far as having a nice little track toy. It's all torn apart right now to do the oil pan. It's been a perpetual nightmare for me of my original oil pan stripped out. I bought a replacement for like 150 bucks, thinking I got a good deal, and then that one had a crack that continued to leak. So I've now purchased a third oil pan, taken the bottom from the new one and the top from the old one, and they're both on there now. That was not horrible, but a lot of work. You know, you gotta drop the whole subframe. Now that it's the second time I've done it, it went a lot smoother. But yeah, I didn't feel like filming any of that. I thought about it, but it's a lot of work and a lot of headache, and I was like, fuck it, I'd rather just get it done. So that's what it looks like with the shit halfway taken apart. I also had another leak on one of these power steering lines, my high pressure one. Again, it leaked. I thought I fixed it. It leaked again. Thought I fixed it again. But now finally I've bought an entire new rack, so that's fixed. But this little guy here, this little Chinesium power steering line that I got off of fucking Rock Auto for like 20 bucks, is leaking like shit from somewhere. So I got a bunch of nice little AN fittings and stuff. Adapters off of turn 1. And then some nice little, you know, 90 and a straight adapter. Some PTFE line. Might be a little overkill, but I'd rather overkill it than underkill it, because I need it killed either way. Yeah, that's really about it as far as what I'm actually doing right now. But we're getting there. Something cool. Also debating putting this little Motion Raceworks sticker on, because I ordered some shit off of there. But I feel like this is a little ricery, since all I've bought from them is like 2 AN fittings. But the logo looks cool, and I like all the YouTubers and shit that they support. Their stickers on cool cars, so if I want my car to be cool, maybe I need that sticker. I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna get back to fucking with this now, and update in a minute. I think my little AN wrench just got here. Amazon's right outside, so hopefully I can get started making this new power steering line and go ahead and bang it in the car. Okay, so I recorded like probably 20 minutes of me putting together AN lines, and it was really fucking boring, so I took like one little snippet and time-lapsed it. Also, did all the power steering line, rebuild, replacement, everything, but I might not have needed to from the beginning. You'll see later. I actually found a spot where the rack body itself was leaking, and I'm pretty sure that was the source of the leak the whole time. Either way, I did the power steering line, got a nice new AN one on there, so if that was a problem, it's been solved, but I'm pretty sure it was actually something I didn't need to do. See if I can get the rack in there with the camera where it is now. It's kind of in the way, but I have realized I definitely need to put the rack in to figure out how long that line needs to be, because I don't know how the routing's going to go. But this rack is a pain. There's not a lot of wasted space underneath this fucking car, so it takes a little jimmying and a little finagling to kind of get it into place. hitting something. Well, that explains it. Oh shit. All that talk just for it to go straight in. Damn. That's probably the easiest time I've had of getting this rack into here. That's funny. It's kind of funny. When I bought this car, the whole intention was that it was supposed to be something nice that I wasn't going to have to work on and wouldn't become a project. But since I bought it, I've probably spent more time and more money on this than any other vehicle I've owned. My Jeep was supposed to be a project, and I didn't even work on that thing. I did like some maintenance, and that was about it. But this car, I've had the whole drivetrain out a couple times. I've had the front subframe off a couple times. I've redone all the suspension a couple times. So I'm at the point now where I can kind of just bang through it pretty quick when it comes to taking apart the suspension, dropping the subframes, pretty much all that stuff. I think the only thing I haven't actually removed from the car is the engine itself. So, knock on wood, that won't change, but I've pretty much touched every part of this thing. So, it's a little boring just going back and fucking around with control arms and bolting shocks up and stuff. So, hence the time lapse. Alright, so, y'all just saw time lapsed it, putting, all the suspension back together, everything in the engine bay back together. So this is pretty much buttoned up. I gotta fill it up with oil and with power steering fluid, but for that I need to go get oil and a filter. Yeah, suspension's all bolted up, bolt check tight, everything's good. So now we'll be throwing the new sway bars in. So should be pretty cool. Shouldn't be too hard. I think I'll leave I'll do a normal time video and talk through it a little bit once I get started. But yeah, I'm gonna fuck with these next, and then the car will pretty much be good for the time being. Yeah, I didn't do that. I'm doing another time lapse. These things were actually pretty sweet. I paid like $400 for them. I got them on Black Friday, free shipping, whole nine. I was super hyped. They come with some polyurethane little bushings. So what I wound up doing is the same thing I did when I did my suspension bushings, which was actually get some PTFE like Teflon tape and wrap that on the metal before you put the grease on and before you put the bushing on. And the theory behind it is that you're going to prevent the bushings from eventually squeaking, because that's a big problem with polyurethane bushings, is they dry out and harden up and they squeak. I saw a couple people online talking about doing the PTFE tape on there to try and prevent that. I don't know if it works. I haven't had the setup long enough to speak to it for myself, but I did do it, and my polyurethane shit has not yet squeaked, and it's been probably 5 or 6 months. Who knows if 3 years down the line that's not going to be the case, but so far so good. Also, gotta put the obligatory sticker on the toolbox, because the sway bars came with 2 stickers. Alright, so actually installing them, come on, it's the same as the factory ones. It's not hard. They're thick though, they're beefy. The one side almost touches a little air conditioner condenser line. Like it's close. I actually had to bend the thing out of the way a little bit, but they went in fine. It's tight. It's weird clamping down on that PTFE or the polyurethane fucking bushing, because it's a lot firmer, so it feels very unconfident. Like I really was worried about screwing them in, but they're good now. Did it. But yeah, same as factory. There's nothing really to talk about there. It's pretty fucking straightforward. The camera died before I did the rear sway bar, which is I think where I left off. That was like a week ago. Obviously, car is all back together now, but I did screw up with this power steering line. You can't see it from here, but it ended up leaking really bad. I think partly mainly because I reused the little olives inside of these fittings, which you're not supposed to do. Because when I first put it together, I had to sort of force it into place, and I think that caused it to leak the first time. So then I made a new, longer hose, but when I reused all the fittings, obviously they were no good. So ordered some new fittings. They actually are manufactured by the same people that made the PTFE line, so hopefully they fit up a little better. And yeah, once I get the garage cleaned up a little bit, I'm gonna get that line done, and then get the seat and the seat belt done. Then it should be drivable. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Wasn't planning on buying one of these for a while, but I went and checked out a few of them at a race shop near me, and they had the Black Friday sale going on, and they had a scratch and dent deal. So still paid a lot of money, but I got a pretty good deal on it, so wound up bringing it home. Thing fits like super well, super snug. I had to modify the bracket that it came with because I'm kind of tall and my top of my helmet touches the roof, so I've got the bracket sort of, it's ugly as fuck, but it'll be nice and solid. I got to clean up some of these cuts and probably repaint the whole thing so it's not all bare metal. But yeah, now that I've got it all modified and test fit, it fits pretty good. I had to cut the carpet out. I had to shorten the bracket. I had to mount the seat on the lowest possible setting, and I now just barely ever so slightly fit. When I go to the track, I'll probably end up removing this top plastic panel because that buys you a little bit of gap. But no, it's a tight squeeze for me, especially with the helmet I have because it's sort of a cheap one, so it's quite thick. But yeah, that's about it. Once I'm getting some progress somewhere, I'll get back to recording. I'll probably just wait to record until the whole car is good and drivable, and I'll get some impressions and show off the fitment of the seat and etc, etc. So yeah, I'll catch you all later. Alright, I lied. Where did I leave off? I left off and I said I should be able to drive the car next time I pick the camera up. That's not true. Again, got the seat done. Seat's in here now, all bolted down. I'm gonna have to get harnesses. These seat belts, there's no way I can get them to go through the hip reliefs. So before it comes time to actually take it to the track, I'm gonna have to get the harness bar and the harnesses. But the main thing, power steering lines are good. The main oil pan seal is good, but the lower pan is leaking, which should be pretty easy fix, just a little RTV. And the wiring holes on the existing steering rack also leak. It's a pretty common thing on the Vettes, but I think because the temperature just dropped pretty significantly, it's caused that leak to get a lot worse because it's just continually pouring out now. Yeah, so rack's got to come out of the car. The little lower oil pan will have to come off, but I got to pull the rack out, probably take the whole Magna-Steer shit out of it, and then clean it up, epoxy it, and stick it back in. Because there's no real way to fix that leak on the wiring on the rack. But it is cold as fuck out here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and then once the rack is out on the floor, I'll probably call it for the day, because I'm freezing. Yeah, this was one of those weekend projects that turned into a probably 2.5, 3 week long affair. I redid the power steering lines first, and I was like, that's a real win. I learned how to do AN fittings. Then I started the car, and those leaked, and I was like, fuck. Redid the AN lines, put it all back together again, started the car again, and then the rack body itself started leaking. And I was like, oh fuck. So not only was that frustrating because it's still leaking, I also realized that I probably didn't need to do those power steering lines. It was probably the rack the whole time. I should have done more research, should have planned ahead a little more, but that's the point we made it to. It is what it is. Yeah, I was pretty mad at the car at this point, but it was not done giving me a hard time. as you will see shortly. We're getting close, but there's a couple more things that I fuck up before the end of this video. So stay tuned. Alright, now getting the rack to come out is like really hit or miss. Like moving it out physically. Last few times I've done it was a real pain, but then the last time I did it, like just a few days ago, was pretty easy. Yeah, I got my ass kicked this time. It was a lot less taken apart. First time I had the sway bar off and some other shit, so it was really just hanging loose. Without undoing the control arms, it's a lot more difficult to get the rack out. It's still doable, as you see here, but if you really want to remove all the headache, you should pretty much drop the upper control arm on the driver's side when you pull it, because then it just comes right on out. You don't have to work around any of that stuff. I think I also took the EBCM loose, because that's kind of in the way, but you really don't get much from that. It just gives you a little bit more room to kind of pry and twist and fuck around. But yeah, there's not a lot of real estate, so getting the rack in and out is sort of a pain in the ass, but it's doable. Alright, the EBCM is loose now, it's just sitting there, so hopefully this guy can come out a little easier now. Come on. Oh shit, oh shit. What's that? Just taking a serious wiggling right now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, that's the rack. Out the car. Boom, bow, bing bap. So, yeah, what I think I'm gonna do, because it's leaking out of the hole. This thing leaks all the fucking time. It's like kind of the common problem with these racks. So I think what I'm gonna do, empty it all out, and then possibly take it apart. I'm still debating. I think I'm gonna try not to, but if I have to, I'll end up taking it apart. But basically just epoxy the shit out of this whole thing. That way the fluid just can't leak out. But yeah, that'll be, might be a today thing, might be a tomorrow thing. I'm not sure what time it is. But yeah, let's go back. Alright, so I was sort of hoping that, so this is what's leaking. This is attached to that black ring. It's kind of hard to see, it's a little dark, but that ring in there. I thought I'd be able to pull the whole thing out, that way I could really clean in that hole there and get it prepped for this epoxy. But it looks like that isn't able to come out. Like it's kind of, there isn't like a C-clip or anything holding it in, but it's kind of like smushed in, and it looks like the edges are like pressed or smashed or glued or maybe like heated and melted a little bit. So I don't think I can get this out without tearing shit up. So what I'm going to do is try and clean it up and then just see how well I can get this shit in there. I'm really not super happy about how this has to go, but hopefully I can make it work. Alright, I forgot to get brake clean, but I got it now. So, got it kind of sanded down, scuffed up as best as I could, and brake clean the shit out of it. Yeah, I'm gonna brake clean the shit out of it, and probably sand it again. Probably brake clean the shit out of it again. And then smear some of this on. Hopefully I can get it in there, you know, good contact up underneath everything. Because I really don't want it to keep leaking, but we'll see. This is probably overkill, but I wanted to overkill it and not underkill it, because this is a pain in the ass, and I don't want to take it back out of the car. Alright, got it. Pretty clean, brake cleaned it, air hosed it, and brake cleaned it and air hosed it, and brake cleaned it and air hosed it. I'm pretty confident in how tidy it is and how scuffed up it is, so I'm gonna go ahead and start fucking with the epoxy and try and get it all laid up in there. Okay, so this fucking popsicle stick is kind of big for this, but slide some kind of in there. Nice and pressed up in. That way I know it's making, you know, touching everything good. It seems like it is. Yeah, there we go. There's something. That is ugly as all hell, but it looks quite covered now, so that's the important part. Definitely trying to make sure it all gets kind of pressed up in there good, especially underneath, just because I know that it's kind of hard to reach. Okay, I think that might actually be it for coverage there. Make it a little paper towel and wipe it so it doesn't look totally like a hack job. The only thing I don't totally love is like where the actual wires are. Like around the plastic part I think I'm good, but the part with the wires coming out, I don't know if it leaks through there or not. I don't really want to find out that it does. But it's also hard to get the epoxy on the fucking wire, obviously. I think that's pretty good. Something decent there. Alright, I think the more I fuck with it, the more I'm gonna just fuck with it and not get anywhere further. I think there's only so much scientific application you can do here. But hopefully that'll work out. I think I got it cleaned up decent. Sanded pretty good. So hopefully that holds. This stuff, I don't know how much of the shit is on here. No, not a lot of information on the tube, but it said it's supposed to be, if I can find the packaging, that I probably threw in the trash. Yeah. So, yeah, good for aluminum and then plastic. Somewhere in here, chemical resistant. Great gap filling. and it's like, yeah, 2300 psi, so should be hopefully more than plenty for what I'm trying to do with it. And should hopefully stick on there pretty damn good, but time will tell. We'll find out what happens. The little hole there is just a common ass issue on these Corvette racks. You would think they would have designed that better, but it is what it is. So yeah, let that cure up. Probably leave it overnight. Well, yeah, I gotta leave it overnight. Leave it overnight, get it back in the car tomorrow. Maybe start it up Thursday and see how it goes. I want to give it like plenty of extra time to really fully cure, because it's pretty cold out right now. And overnight it'll drop even colder. The packaging said below 40 degrees to give it extra time. Right now it's like 42, and overnight it'll be like in the 20s. So I guess it'll more than likely be all it needs to be by the time I'm back to it tomorrow, but we'll see. I might give it an extra day just to be extra safe. But yeah, update when I get to the next point. I just realized I might be very stupid. I definitely did not mark this before I took it apart. So I gotta figure out which exact direction needs to point in order for the steering wheel to be straight, because I definitely didn't think about it. And then I looked at it and realized my mistake. So hopefully it doesn't become a bigger problem. Hopefully I can get that sorted out now without putting it all back together and realizing this shit is crooked. So wound up taking the rack in the house to let it cure some, because the cold weather was not doing it very well. But this epoxy is super hard now. Very well cured. So hopefully it actually stays sealed when it goes in the car. But we'll fucking see. Yeah, I only have so much confidence. I think it'll work, but the way my brain works, I won't be convinced until it works. But it's about what I got so far. I'll slap it back up in the car now. I'll probably stick it in the car and then do that lower oil pan real quick, and then start it up and see how it goes, just because I know that it's leaking too, and I do need to fix it. But we'll see. I might start it up with this in there immediately, just so I can make sure that it works. Well, how I said I was worried that I was gonna have put the rack back together misaligned. I did. I put the head of the rack back in probably 2 or 3 teeth off from where it was supposed to go. So the steering wheel was like 90 degrees off. So I went in, pointed the wheels straight, like the wheels straight, and marked where the tie rod should be. Like I put a Sharpie mark on the tie rod and a Sharpie mark on the rack body, measured it, wrote down what that needed to be, and then turned the steering wheel dead nut straight and marked on the top of the rack body, or on the rack head, where that needed to be straight. So I got it pulled back out now. What I'm going to do is just take it apart and verify that it's right when I put it back together this time. It's really annoying because I didn't figure it out till the entire car was put back together. So, you know, I had to now take it back apart. That was a lot of cussing and bitching and being angry at it. But it took a couple days to not touch it because I was sort of getting my ass kicked, and I just needed to take a break from working on it. All this I thought would be done weeks ago. But yeah, it's back out of the car now. I'm gonna get the rack correct this time, put it back in, and then fix that oil pan leak. And then, fingers crossed, I can be done fucking with it. But yeah, that's where I'm at now. That's basically what I had to do for anybody that has to catch up. I put this thing in crooked to the teeth on the rack. So what I did was Sharpie mark there to line it all up, and then originally I had a Sharpie mark on here, but I wound up just measuring from this point to this point. Then once it was even, it was good over here. Like, you know, you have that in and seated. If this is the right measurement, then you know it's straight. So should be a lot better now. Because before, to have the actual wheel of the car, to have the actual wheels pointing straight, the steering wheel was like that. So hopefully now we're all good. Yeah, so that was it. After that, it was pretty much all good. So finally drove the car, didn't have any leaks, didn't have anything else pop up. Still fucking around dealing with the blower oil pan. I reused a gasket that I had because I didn't feel really comfortable using some like gasket maker stuff since it's so cold out. But I think I'm gonna have to make a little heated booth for it or something and fucking try and use some, because I'm still getting like a little tiny drip from that lower oil pan seal. I just think it's because it's an old one or something and it just doesn't really want to hold that well. But the power steering's great now. So that's the main struggle area that's a pain in the ass to do. Yeah, pretty much good there. The sway bars and the seats are fucking sick. I love them. Seat fits amazing. Had to dial it in a little bit. Also, definitely going to need to go harnesses. That seatbelt is probably not the safest because it has to go over the bolsters, because the bolsters don't have holes big enough for the seatbelt hardware to go through. But that's a problem for another day. I'm comfortable enough driving it on the street to not really worry about it, so whatever. But yeah, no, car drives fucking great with the sway bars. Between the shocks, the sway bars, the new seat, it's super tight. I've also got poly suspension bushings and like solid sway bar end links, obviously with the big sway bars. But yeah, it's nice. Yeah, that's about it for this one. I think the next videos I'm gonna do are driving impressions. I might do one on fixing that oil pan leak, just because it might be kind of interesting to shoot. That's about it. If anybody has ideas on what I should do with my roof and my wheels as far as color, comment them, because I want to do probably gunmetal for the wheels because I'm not the biggest fan of the black. And somebody put a seat on my roof and scratched the fuck out of it. I don't know who that was that did that. It was pretty dumb, but yeah, I'm gonna have to paint the roof or wrap the roof now. I'm kind of thinking of doing like maybe American flag something or whatever, but I don't know. I don't want it to be corny. I'm also not a big fan of the black wrapped roofs on these, so if anybody's got an idea, throw it in the comments. I might do it. But yeah, that's about it. Pretty much all I got. Yeah, make sure to follow me on OnlyFans. Link in bio.